when we're live. All right, we are live on Facebook now. And now live on Instagram. All right, they can see us. Hey everyone. Welcome to another episode of our JamTube series where we're interviewing artists and healers and musicians and vendors on our lineup, so you guys can get excited about what's to come at Flow Jam. And I'm super excited to be here with Stuart Hill today, who's coming from, I think you're in Bluemont, right?
That's correct.
So a little backstory on Stuart. Well, I'll just share the backstory of Flow Jam with you, is that you've been coming and participating at Flow Jam since, I think, 2016, right? I think that's when you...
I think like the third one was the first one I came to.
Yes, exactly. So
At the old farm.
Right, like not very far from you, where you are now in Bluemont.
Uh-huh.
So you came in 2016, so you've seen us grow throughout the years, which is really exciting and nice to see that support continuation. I love working with people who come back year after year, and I think that brings like part of the family vibe that you can sense at Flow Jam. So I want to hear, let's get you introduced as to who you are, what we see in the background. You gave me a little description of what we're looking at here before we got live, but I would love for you to share with our audience, and then, tell us a little bit about you and what you do and how you came to be doing what you do.
Okay, well, I've got kind of an unusual background. I was born in England and came over here because of the Cold War. My father ended up bringing his family over here in 1956.
Wow.
So I'm up in my 70s, but to move forward rapidly, I got musical training from my mother and others. I still got the same piano I learned the piano on.
Wow.
And then to move further forward, I jumped into the business world. So in the business world, I was in management consulting, business, IT, mostly for the federal government. And I finally left that world when I turned 53. I got tired of the craziness of being in that world and joined another whole new world. While I was in the business environment, my outlet was Shotokan Karate. And I advanced and was a teacher in Shotokan Karate for several years. And then I started working with a second teacher, and he brought me into the world of Tai Chi. So it's kind of, on one side, you're doing 1,000 kick nights, and on another side, you're flowing through Tai Chi. So it's kind of strange. So where did I end up? I ended up in 2002 in a Kundalini class I think I became addicted to Kundalini at that point, and I was doing it 3, 4, and 5 days a week. Eventually, in the late 2000s, my teacher said, you should be a teacher. So I went ahead and got my certification in Kundalini in 2010, and then I got a certification in Hatha in 2011, and then I got my 500 in Hatha 2016. So I've kind of progressed on the yoga path, and I've been teaching yoga steadily since 2010. Currently, I teach about 45 students. I teach 3 times a day from this studio, 2, 3, almost every day.
Wow.
So I'm teaching about 15 classes a week on the yoga side, okay? So let's come back down to the flute side. The flute world opened up to me when the business world I was tired of it. So I started playing this thing called the Native American Indian flute. So I started playing that, and I got into collection mode. And I'm going to show you a bit of my collection. I'm going to kind of pick up the camera and show you that's a part of the collection.
Wow.
And then we go to another wall, And there's more collection there. And then there's more in another room I'm not going to show you.
Wow.
And on that one wall, also, I ended up doing drumming. So I do drum circles and flute circles. I managed a flute festival that we did locally for several years, where we brought in 15, 20 vendors and highlight performers, kind of like what you're doing, but I'm totally dedicated to the Native American Indian flute.
Wow.
And so I became a flute addict, as you can see, and I started doing performances. I was working in restaurants. I would go into like Indian restaurants and play for several hours a week. I played in a place called Ovations, which is in Wolf Trap, their outdoor seating area. And I go around to schools and introduce the flutes and the bowls to students. And I go to different festivals, just kind of espousing the flute and that kind of thing. So I kind of got addicted to the flute, and I love playing it. And I do live performances. I do impromptu performances. I'll stop someone in the street and play the flute for them, that kind of thing.
Nice. I
So
love
I'm
that.
happy that you've invited me this year to go up on a stage somewhere. I'm not sure which one, but at that point, I'll be doing solo performances, and I'll be performing to some backup tracks that I have.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited. This is a new offering for, I knew that you played flutes in your classes that you did at Flow Jam, I think, but
Right.
this will be a new like addition to see the scope of your skills and what you have to bring, which just looking at your background there, those are some amazing, are these like your sound, are those like your sound healing gongs and those chimes in the background?
I use the gongs primarily in Kundalini. When I teach Kundalini, I've got, you can see one on either side of me. And then I'll pick up the camera and point out the other side of the studio is the bowls. You can see how I got the bowls set around a massage table.
Nice. Yes.
Okay. And
Wow.
then,
You have a nice collection there.
yeah, there's about, I think about 18 or 20 there.
Wow.
Get this thing set up right. Actually, I'd like to do a shout out to Dante Baker.
Yeah.
You know Dante. Well, Dante, about 8 years ago, I had built a very large collection of bowls, and it got to be too much for me to carry around from place to place. So I kind of got it out of the bowls a little bit. But he came over here and agreed to purchase a lot of my bowls. So a lot of the metal bowls that he got is ones that I used to play back in the early 2000s.
Nice. Did you guys meet at Flow Jam? Is that how you guys got connected?
Our connection is through Beverly. You know Beverly?
Right.
And
Yes.
Beverly is a student.
That's probably is that how you found out about Flow Jam? Because of Beverly? Like
Probably, yeah.
I love that. I love to see those networks colliding, intersecting. So tell us how you got into Kundalini. What is different about the Kundalini practice than, versus Hatha?
Kundalini, in a typical class, you might do 6 or 8 poses, but you might do them, they're active poses, you might do them for 5 or 6 minutes. Whereas you may be doing a flow, in Hatha, or you may be just going through sequences and that kind of thing. Kundalini is much more rigorous in that there's written procedures for every single class, which says exactly what you do, for how long you do it, how you do the breathing, how you hold your hands. Maybe you're moving like this for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
I found it very energizing. I think you always come out of a Hatha class feeling pretty good, right? Well, when you come out of a Kundalini class, you're super energized. It's kind of a whole different, that's why I got kind of addicted to Kundalini to start with. But I think the word itself just scares people off. You know, it's that serpent, right? The serpent in the spine scares people off, and so they kind of gravitate to hatha instead. So that's why I started to teach hatha. So I teach actually probably 3 or 4 times more hatha than Kundalini.
Oh, okay.
That's the demand is.
Yeah, Kundalini definitely is more of a niche, and I think more of like almost people that have already been practicing yoga get into Kundalini versus new people might get into hatha when they first get into yoga. I think. I don't know. This is my conclusion. At least
Once you tend to enjoy it, you don't stop enjoying it.
Right.
It's kind of addictive, just like the flutes are addictive.
Well, you know, Mateo Monk, he's not going to be at Flow Jam this year, but he I'm sure would love your flute collection because he gets his flutes, like he gets some of them from India and like made for him specifically on the type, you know, as you can see, like, as you know, there's different sizes, different sounds, different.
Yeah, you can see some behind me that are almost 5 feet long.
Wow.
A little rack back there. So let me go a little deeper into why I ended up working with bowls instead of flutes.
Oh,
For
okay.
about 5 years, I was playing the flutes in hospice, trying to give relief to people. And it was very, very rewarding to me to be able to go in there and give to the staff and to the people that, you know, that were resident there and to their families. So I would go around from room to room, or I'd play out in the hallway. But I didn't feel like it was a true healing modality. And so I searched around for healing modalities that might work better than taking a flute and trying to play it, right? A flute is very soothing, but it doesn't have a whole lot of diagnostic or prognostic capabilities. It can just provide music of whatever kind you want to play. So then I started to look at the Himalayan bowls as an alternative for healing. And I'm going to do a workshop on different technologies for using Himalayan bowls for healing.
Okay.
There are 3 tiers. Tier 1, relaxation. Tier 2, chakra balancing. Tier 3, healing, depending on whatever's wrong to work. Maybe it's a chakra, maybe it's someone's foot, whatever it is. But there are 3 tiers, 3 different schools that involve more and more bowls. Like the first one involves 2 bowls. Second one involves 7 bowls. Third one involves 13 bowls and how you use them. Also, you're using tinja. Tinja is you sometimes see these in class, right? Tinja. Tinja. This is actually a diagnostic tool, or you'll be using bells. It's called ganta. All of those have their usefulness in the Himalayan bowl world. Want to hear this one?
Yes, as you've been playing them, like my crown chakra.
So what I'm going to be offering at Flow Jam is 3 things. I'm going to be doing Kundalini workshop, so people can be introduced to Kundalini. I'm going to do workshop on the 3 technologies, the main technologies that are being taught in the world today of sound therapy using Himalayan bowls and a flute performance. So that's my offerings.
I'm excited. That's such a well-rounded mix, and you're going to be I'm not sure if last year you were vending. So this year you're actually going to have that massage table with the sound healing bowls.
It's actually going to be in an RV.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be kind of isolated because it's, you know, you want to have it fairly quiet when you're doing that.
Right.
So, I mean, the RV is not padded, but it'll shield some of the noise because Flow Jam is not a quiet place, you know.
No, we like to flow and jam and have music going. But I try my best to match, the workshops where I think, like when Dante does his sound healing, for example, we put him in the pine forest. So there was no other sound but his bulls and the birds singing. But of course, for vending purposes, yeah, you'll be in the RV section. So we'll make sure that you're on the map. People know where you are and, what you're offering.
Yeah, I'll put a little sign out there there'll be a little sign on the RV. And what I'll be offering is whichever of those 3 sessions you'd like to have, relaxation, chakra balancing, or the full healing. Same price, 1 hour, about a 1 hour session.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting excited. I might have to get one.
It's on the house for you.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. Yeah, I try to get like time to do all the things, but I don't always, but I'll definitely make time to lay down and get some sound healing for sure, maybe before we even begin. But yeah, I the first time I experienced it actually, I think was around 2016 when Dante introduced like the sound healing in the bowls, because he came for the first time the same year that you did. And I laid in the grass, like it was outside of his workshop, but I laid in the grass and then he put the bowls on me. And after he was done, I felt like I had just become one with the earth. Like I was just like dirt, like it felt so good.
It's what I call a sound envelope.
Yeah. So what you were saying about like the different bowls, so the different tiers, right? Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, with the different bowls. How did you start figuring this out?
Well, the more advanced one, I was studying and working with that several years ago.
Uh-huh.
And about 2 years ago, I got the calling to come back to the bowls. So I went out and got a certification in that level 1, the relaxation one, and I'm in the midst of a certification on the level 3. Level 2 is really easy. You just put 7 bowls around someone and play them in a certain order. Really easy.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, there's nothing really diagnostic about that.
So what does a certification in sound healing involve?
It's about a 200-hour program.
Oh, and they teach you the different techniques or like how to play the bowls or like what do you learn?
There's probably 60 hours of teaching and 140 hours of sessions where you do session logs and you practice the trade.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a teacher certification in yoga, same way.
Yeah. Well, what is the most surprising thing that you found, maybe like from the clients that you used this healing technique on, healing modality? What's, been the most kind of, surprising out of doing this with clients? Like what are some of their
I've got to say what surprised me the most was the true effectiveness of the technology, because people were getting off the table and saying, I've never experienced anything like that in my life. I am totally super relaxed. I'm in another dimension. When people get off the table and tell you that time after time after time, you're doing something right.
Yeah. So what do you like? How is it working? How does it work? Sound vibration.
It's a combination of vibrational therapy and sound. So you've got the vibrations of the bowls moving energy through the air into the person. You might have the bowl on the person or around the person. And especially when it's on the person, the vibration goes right into the body.
Right.
So it's a vibrational therapy.
working with your chakras, your meridians, your energetic body, which a lot of people, if you're new to, the healing arts or any of these Eastern practices, is, yeah, like it is a great tool to use, as well as like, with your practice. I started, when I started using the bowls just in my, I don't teach anymore, or at least not right now, but when I was teaching classes, I would always start and end with my singing bowl. And it brought such balance to the, like, it became like full circle, like it added another layer to the classes. So
I totally agree with you.
yeah.
And working in Kundalini, you're very chakra minded anyway. I mean, I was learning about that immediately with Kundalini. And so it was a natural extension to how do you use the bowls to kind of create that feeling, whatever the feeling is. And each of the chakras, you can be on one side of it. You can be on one side, which is dull, depressed, non-functioning. And you go to a balanced chakra in the middle. And then on the other side, you have highly energized, over-energized. And so what the sound therapy tends to do is to take you back to balance. Mm-hmm. So you have to recognize which side you're on and then use the proper tools to bring you back to balance. That's what the goal is when I do sound therapy with someone.
And what would you say to someone who's brand new to all of this and they've never heard about chakras or meridians or the energetic body? Like, how would you help? Like, what do you, like, if you were to take someone in your corporate world, like where you were when you retired at 53 or whatever you did, and, kind of went into that corporate world with what you're doing now, how would you explain it to someone who just like thinks, just only thinks in this 3D and like,
I would say I would prepare them by saying the first thing we're going to do is some presencing, which means that we're going to start to breathe together, slow the breathing, be more conscious of the breathing, just like we do in yoga. We want to be conscious of the breathing, right? Then the bowls can be used to take you to a different level, alpha, beta, and in your brain waves. That's how it works. And the vibrations are going to make you, what I'm saying to them is it's going to make you feel better. I'm not going to say, well, this is going to work on your fourth chakra. No problem. We'll get it sorted out. Not going to say that. I'm just going to say we're going to work on getting you into a balance of comfort, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If it's the first time I'm ever saying anything to anyone, it's going to be fairly simple.
Yeah, I remember like as I progressed in my yoga, so I started with, just a certification where I could teach at gyms, and I started teaching at Gold's Gym actually. And then I got my 200 hours in Africa and, started teaching more and more. And then I got my another certification, 300 hours in Hatha yoga. And as I did these different modalities, my teaching style and the depth of what I was able to talk about changed. And I first started teaching too when I was at the World Bank. So I taught in their gym. And as I progressed, I remember just, having to bring it back to layman's terms and not really talk about all the deep stuff and just let people experience it, and then slowly start to learn that there's more to, diagnosing an ailment or something and giving a prescription versus healing at the core and the energetic level. So it's interesting. Have you found that, you're you said you teach 45, you have around 45 students. Where are they in their realm of knowledge about yoga and sound healing?
About a half of these students I've been teaching for over 10 years.
Wow.
So they're pretty committed. They'll show up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10:30 and take the class. The other half have probably over the last 3 years since I started teaching online. Um, I teach them a little bit more whenever I can. I coach them. I actually have a 15 or 20-minute session with them that's available for free every week.
Wow.
So some people take advantage of that. You know, you bring people along. The main thing is you start with the breath. Then you start with making sure they got the poses right, how to get into the poses safely, all those things.
And what would you say, so circling back to Flow Jam and what you'll be doing there, what are you, like, what would you want people to know about your workshop or your sound healing before they entered your space?
I'd like to do the workshop earlier, you know, like a Friday rather than Sunday morning, so that people would get a little better feeling about what I would be doing. But it's fairly easy for someone to say, well, you're going to use the bowls. I want to be relaxed, or I want to get a tuning, or I want to get the diagnostic side. Give me the whole kit and caboodle. So someone can pick what they want from that. You know, it's like I say, dial a yoga instructor. Okay, where do you want to be on the work hard or just gentle? You know, give me yin, or you know, give me power yoga. Where do you want to be on that scope? Same thing with the bowls.
I'm getting more and more excited about experiencing this. So you've seen Flow Jam grow over the years. What's the most exciting thing or amazing thing that you've seen happen over the years at Flow Jam?
I think the number and sophistication of the workshops is exciting, very exciting, and I think the focus on the music has grown in a really strong way. So you get the workshops, you get the music, there's plenty of yoga, plenty of music, and then an amazing interaction between the people. I mean, the vendors, you've got a good selection of vendors there, and it's just a good, solid interaction of people like that.
I love that. Yes, I think so too. And I'm very excited. This is a big lineup for us this year. So, and a lot of new people and returning people are coming. And yeah, I'm really excited. We haven't done it as early as we're doing it this year. So I'm a little bit like, oh my gosh, it's literally almost just about a month away. And I just saw your workshop form, so I'm working on the schedule now for everyone so I can get that out. And I just got these beautiful posters. Do you want to see the poster?
I saw them. They look great.
Good. I'm going to send
and the stickers.
Yes, yes. I don't have them on my desk right now, but I went around Asheville yesterday and I already probably put up around 50 stickers and a lot of posters. And I don't know, it feels really good to spread the posters. I've never been really good at that. So I'm excited to have them and send you some so you can put them in Bluemont.
I can do that. Hey, listen, if we're not going to go much longer, but if people want to look me up and learn a little bit more or sign up for lessons or anything, Stuart Hill, Stuart, Hill, one word, .us.
You took the words right out of my mouth. That was going to be my next thing, to make sure that people knew how to get in touch with you beyond you're on our lineup, but I'll just repeat what you just said, stuarthill.com. Is that correct?
.us.
Oh, stuarthill.us.
.us, right? .us.
.us. What made you choose .us?
.com wasn't available. I think some apartment building got it or something. I don't know.
Stuarthill.com. That's funny.
.us.
So
And
yeah,
so you can go there and sign up for a session if you'd like. It's set up to do that.
nice. Good job. Well, okay, so stuarthill.us is where you can find Stuart's offerings, and he will be teaching a Kundalini class at FlowJam. He will be teaching about the sound healing. Is that correct? No.
We'll call it sound therapy with Himalayan bowls.
Yes. And then also playing a flute set, which most likely because of the setting will be by the pond stage. So we're really, really excited, and I'm very happy to keep having you coming back. I must be doing something right if we get people like you coming back every year. And I'm very grateful that you've seen the work over the years, how, we've scaled from my backyard to where we are now at Verdun Adventure Bound, which is an amazing venue.
Yeah, it's been great to watch it.
Yeah, it's amazing to see it come to fruition. It's very hard for me to comprehend sometimes, but looking at all the applications and all that, and just seeing the following grow, it's really exciting. Very exciting.
There's a lot of moving parts. You just got to keep balancing them like a juggler.
Exactly. I've put, Flow Jam in the branding. So like we go with the flow. Each year I get better and better at just relaxing, letting it go, just putting it out there and having it all come back. And the weather has been really great for us too, as well, in this June month. I love it.
I think June's going to be great.
Yay. Okay. Well, is there anything else you wanted to share before we?
No, I'm good. I mean, I can't wait to be there and see people and do a little bit of sound therapy, do some teaching, do some playing.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm going to say bye to everyone. This has been another JamTube episode where we are interviewing our lineup who's going to be coming to Flow Jam come June 8th through the 11th. And we just wrapped up with Stuart Hill. You can find him at stuarthill.us. He's got tons of amazing offerings. You can just see his background right now. I want to be in your space in Bluemont. I love it. Okay, well, I'm gonna end this live. Thanks for joining us, everyone, on Instagram.
Sounds good. Thank you.
We'll see you later.